In this video, I'm going to talk about my top 10 street level villains to invest in. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video with Swaggle Haas. And in this video, I'm going to share with you guys my top 10 street level villains to invest in. That's right, it's going to be an investment video today, and this one should be a real fun one. These are all, great books in my opinion, and they're all books that, I established personally as good investment books. Before we get into the video, let me give some preambles here, right? We have to always do our prefaces and preambles before we get into spec or investment or things like that, right? This is just my opinion, right? This is just what I think are good investment buys for street level villains. So street level for me is going to be a character that is going to take place on Earth. And as far as pop culture connections are concerned, a street level character is going to be one that might be in like a Disney Plus show, more TV show centric rather than event film crossover, if that distinction makes sense. And the last caveat I have before I get into the books is, again, I try to pick different books at different sort of levels, right? For me, I think it would be easy for me to make a video that's just all blue chip keys, right? Like I could just tell you, just invest in the top 10 ASM rogue gallery of villains, but that wouldn't really be a fun video, right? That wouldn't be information that you guys don't already know. So I really did avoid most of those types of characters. So hopefully you guys are okay with that. All right, with that all out of the way, let's get into the first book here. And the first book I got is The Hood #1 from 2002. And what is the significance of this? Well, this is the first appearance of the Hood, otherwise known as Parker Robbins. Now, Parker Robbins is a absolutely phenomenal character. This is a character that was created by Brian K. Vaughan, who of course famously wrote Saga and other great, independent comic books. So just to give a quick backstory on the Hood, in case you guys don't know who he is, he's kind of like a street level criminal who ended up having an encounter with like a demon, think like in the Doctor Strange universe, and then ended up killing that demon and taking like a cloak from him, which kind of gave him some powers of like invisibility and things like that. So he's kind of like got these, street level style, there you can see him on the cover holding like a handgun, but he's got that cloak. So he's got some mysticism as well. This is also a low print run. This is not an easy book to find. And then additionally, transmedia use. Now, this is one of the things that I think personally is really important when I'm evaluating, books and their pop culture significances. And the Hood is in fact a character that is being used in many, many different properties right now, right? He was definitely just in the Daredevil Chip Zdarsky run not too long ago, I believe it was. He is being used in a current board game by Fantasy Flight. He is referenced, or he's a playable character in Contest of Champions. He is referenced in the Spider-Man video game. And this is a character that I think has a lot of potential to be utilized, especially in those sort of Disney Plus series, because the Hood, he creates a crime syndicate, and he really makes use and utilizes a lot of these like street level supervillains, or like, the brutes and things like that, the villains that I personally really love. So I like The Hood #1, first appearance of the Hood, as a great investment book. Right there, you'll see estimated raw values around the $30 to $50 range. So, it already kind of has like a solid floor as far as like its value is concerned because of the low print run. And if this is a character that, ever really gets the shine that I think that, this character deserves, I really believe that this can be sort of a modern villain classic book. All right, let's go on now to my second book here. And my second book I want to talk about is Web of Spider-Man #36 from 1988. And what is the significance of this? Well, this is the first appearance of Tombstone. And you guys know who Tombstone is, right? Tombstone made his appearance in Into the Spider-Verse a couple years back, and he is just a great street level villain character. I like Tombstone. One of the things you'll see that right there that I put on this slide is that, I call him a Copper Age darling. This is a character that came out in the Copper Age. I mean, we're seeing all these books like Deadpool and Carnage and Mr. Sinister and characters like that are really appreciated. And Tombstone is sort of in that bucket. And I really, really like this character overall as having a lot of potential to be utilized, in many, many properties, in the future. I definitely think that we're going to see him again in Into the Spider-Verse 2. And then the last thing I want to say is that it's a low buy-in right now. I mean, I think that this is always going to be deemed as a solid key. I think people really do like the Tombstone character and like this book. But when when we look at the buy-ins for this, you can see right there, estimated average raw, $20 to $30. Really not a lot of money if we're talking about it. And then when you look at some of the CGC prices, I mean, I'm seeing 9.6s being sold at the $140 range and things like that. So again, that is, to me, in my opinion, that's a really, really low buy-in for a lot of potential with a character like this. All right, let's go on now to my third book here. And the third book I got is Secret Wars #3 from 1984. And what is the significance of this? Well, this is the first appearance of Titania, the Mary McFerrin version of Titania. Now, of course, this is a book that I'm sure all of you guys know, and one that has definitely been hot, as recently as 3 months ago or so, because of the fact that Titania is actually confirmed to be a villain in the She-Hulk show next year on Disney+. And that is one of the reasons why I feel like this is a good investment book overall, right? I think that Titania is a character that does have a lot of potential. She's not necessarily, the most iconic villain that we have in Marvel comic books, but at the same time, Titania, when you kind of think about her history and what she's been used for in Marvel Comics, I mean, she has a long run. She has a really long run, within the comic book space. She's been utilized in a lot of stories over the years. And for that reason, I think that, she's just beginning to become an iconic villain. And I think once we get her in the She-Hulk show, that will not only, of course, rise the value of this book, but I think it'll also project her as a villain character to another status overall. On top of that, you can see right there in my bullet point, I have this as Secret Wars series always desirable. One of the cool things I think about, for her first appearance is that it takes place in Marvel Superheroes Secret Wars #3. Secret Wars to me is like every comic book collector's favorite crossover series, right? I mean, everybody loves Secret Wars. So even if you remove the idea that this is the first appearance of Titania, right? Even if you take that all aside, this is still a great book. This is still a Secret Wars book. People are always going to want to collect this limited series. So that alone is going to give this book that added value. On top of the fact that, people, again, have been speculating that we're going to be getting Secret Wars in the MCU at some point. And when we do get Secret Wars, all of the books that are in the Secret Wars run are going to be desirable in the market. And if we look at the estimated average raw, $20 to $40. So I feel like this is a good buy at this time, knowing where the ceiling could be, knowing what the potential of this book could reach in the future. All right, let's go on now to my next book here. My next book actually has a slight connection to this first appearance of Titania, but this one is going to be Journey into Mystery #114 from 1965. And what is the significance of this? Well, this, of course, is the first appearance of Absorbing Man. Absorbing Man, one of kind of the, quintessential, in my opinion, sort of street level brute villains there is in all of Marvel comic books. I really, really love the Absorbing Man character. Some of the other reasons why I like this book, I like that this is in a Journey into Mystery series, right? This is a classic title series for Journey into Mystery. The Journey into Mystery run is always going to be a run that is desired by collectors. So take away his first appearance, you still have a book that people are going to want to collect. Additionally, I view Absorbing Man as a pedigree character, right? This is a character that comic book collectors love, right? Especially if you're an old school comic book collector. I feel like everyone has a soft place in their heart for Absorbing Man. How many times have we seen him go up against Thor? How many times have we seen him go up against the Hulk? How many times have we seen him go up against, characters like even Spider-Man, So Absorbing Man has just made his way around, all of the superheroes at some point in time. Additionally, when we're talking about a possible connection to the MCU, we know that Titania is coming. Well, guess what? Absorbing Man and Titania actually get married in comic book continuity, right? They're actually a couple together. So maybe, that's another way to sort of bring in a character like that. We already got Absorbing Man in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. as well. We didn't quite get him in his supervillain form, but he was in fact a character. And in the Daredevil series, they did make allusions to him as well. So Absorbing Man feels like a character Marvel has been sort of, thinking about. They want to make use of him. And I feel like this is a character that has a lot of potential to be utilized in a show. There you can see estimated average raws, $50 to $200. So depending on your budget, could be a, easy buy-in, could be a low buy-in. But even, for me, with the rate of inflation, I think that this being a Silver Age book, it's always going to be a collector's item. And, if you're able to find a copy of this thing at around $50, $60, $70, I feel like you're never really going to lose that money. All right, going on now to the next book here, we have Thor number 148 from 1967. And what is the significance of this? Well, this, of course, is the first appearance of the Wrecker. Now, the Wrecker, kind of like Absorbing Man, for all of the reasons I previously just stated, is just a classic street level brute. You know, when we're talking about Marvel supervillains, this guy has done it all, right? He's gone against Thor, he's gone against Hulk, he's gone against the Avengers, right? This guy is the guy that, I don't know how many times the Wrecker has been thrown through a concrete wall by a superhero, but I feel like, you know, it's uncountable, right? At this point, how many times this guy has been punched in the face by our beloved superheroes. But for that reason, I think that the Wrecker is a great character to bring into the MCU. I think he's a great character that, you know, comic book collectors and enthusiasts are always going to, you know, appreciate a character like this. On top of that, you know, right now the Wrecking Crew is rumored to be appearing in She-Hulk, so that kind of makes this really exciting for a book like this. And we will definitely talk about the Wrecking Crew in a second. I also like that, you know, this is in the Thor series. It's a Silver Age book, something that people are always going to want to own, right, is Thor books. And then lastly, right there at the bottom with my hashtag, I have comp, right, which is, you know, comparison. So we take a book like TTA 90, right? TTA 90 is the first appearance of Abomination, right? And we see that it's at a 9.6 grade. Right now, the fair market value for TTA 90 is $23.50 versus the fair market value for a book like this at a 9.6 is $1,100. I'm not going to say that the Wrecker is on the level of, you know, Abomination, but when we're thinking about a character and how Abomination has been utilized in Marvel and, you know, where that book has gone as far as its values are concerned, with the, you know, reappearance of him in Shang-Chi, and we think about a character like the Wrecker, to me, like, you know, I see $23.50 as a number that could be reached for a character like the Wrecker, or maybe not easily reached, but definitely could be, you know, a book that doubles in value if he ever gets his sort of pop culture shine in the MCU. All right, let's go on to the next pick here, and the next pick is another book that kind of has a little bit of a theme of the last couple books I've been talking about, but this one here is The Defenders number 18 from 1974. And what is the significance of this? Well, this is the first full appearance of the Wrecking Crew. Again, another team and group of characters that have been rumored to appear in She-Hulk. And I really like this team. Now, this one might be, you know, of all the books I have on this list, this one might be, you know, dipping its toes into the most quote unquote speculative of the, you know, investment speculation pendulum, you know, what we're talking about as far as which books. But I like this book. I mean, I'm somebody who, you know, loves the Wrecking Crew. I'm somebody who is more partial to the Defenders run. So I believe that this is a sort of a good investment because I think that these characters are significant to Marvel. I think that the Wrecking Crew have had a long history within context to Marvel comic books. They've been utilized so many different times, you know, whether it's with the Thunderbolts or the Masters of Evil, or they've been, you know, partnered with the Hood. To me, they're sort of pedigree characters, even though they're in that B and C tier level. But with regards to the potential of this book, we recently got the rumors that they will appear in She-Hulk. Now, of course, this is a book that, you know, got really expensive as a result of that. You know, definitely took a huge spike in the numbers, but now has kind of settled down. And I feel like right now, at the time of recording this video, this feels like a pretty decent buy-in for a book like this. And then I tried to do a comparable for this. You know, when we talk about Avengers 196, the first appearance of Taskmaster, I know what you guys are thinking. You're thinking recency bias. You're thinking Taskmaster is a way bigger character than the Wrecking Crew. I'm here to tell you that if you rewind the clock 10, 15 years ago, Taskmaster and the Wrecking Crew are just as laughable as far as, you know, C-tier level villains are concerned. So when we look at the values of Avengers 196 and where it has gone overall because of Black Widow, you know, I like that for a potential of a team like the Defenders, or excuse me, the Wrecking Crew, to reach levels almost like the Taskmaster as well. Maybe not at the quite at the height, because I don't think that they're going to go like against, you know, Black Widow in a movie. But I do think that that is something that they can look towards as far as growth is concerned. All right, let's go on now to the next book here. And the next book I got is Captain America number 110 from 1969. And what is the significance of this? Well, this is the first appearance of Ophelia Sarkeesian, aka Madam Hydra, aka the Viper. Now, Ophelia Sarkeesian, to me, is a phenomenal villain. Now, this is one where it's like, you might not quite define her as street level because she is, like, you know, so connected to Hydra and those sort of criminal organizations. But for the sake of our video, I'm still going to frame her as a street level villain, because I think that if in fact we do see her in the MCU, she's going to be a character that we see in the Disney Plus series. But Ophelia Sarkisian, a great character, and she eventually becomes the leader of the Serpent Society. So I really like that as a potential, right? I've mentioned the Serpent Society on the channel before. I think that it's very, very possible that we could see Serpent Society, especially with all the Easter eggs we've got for the Roxxon Corporation. And to me, if they do the Serpent Society, I think that they're going to utilize Ophelia Sarkisian. Now, there is, some debate over what is the key book, right? In this book, she is established as Madam Hydra, and then later in Cap 180, which is also the first appearance of Nomad, she takes on the mantle of Viper, and that becomes her name. But when we're looking at the pages and we're looking at the art, I mean, she is in her iconic looking form in this book, right? We're talking about, it's actually a very, very similar comparison to, Arrow's first appearance of Arrow's Cap Marvel 27 versus, Avengers 232, which is him taking up the mantle of Star Fox. In my opinion, this is the book you want to own because it is the Silver Age book, and it is truly her first iconic look and panel, right? We're talking about that classic green look with the green hair. Additionally, when we're talking about hedges for this book, this is a classic Steranko cover, right? This is one that comic book collectors absolutely love. So this will always be a book that is desired in the market, outside of the fact that it has the first appearance of Ophelia Sarkisian. And if we look at the estimated average raw, we can see this book selling around the $110 range to the $275 range. All right, moving on to my top 3 now. The next book I have is actually going to be Incredible Hulk number 449 from 1997. Now, I know that what you guys are thinking, this is a book, everyone has talked about this book. This is a book that has been, speculated on heavily many times, especially with regards to Falcon and Winter Soldier and Black Widow, etc. But what is the significance of this? Well, of course, this is the first appearance of the Thunderbolts. I know that this is a book that has really, really spiked as far as its speculative value is concerned, but I really truly believe that this is still a great key and a good investment overall as a book that is always going to be desired amongst comic book collectors. To me, the Thunderbolts team really is a modern favorite. I really think that the comic book collectors love the Thunderbolts. I mean, think of how much they've been utilized ever since their creation here in 1997 in the comic book space. I mean, they had such a long ongoing solo title series. Even today, we still have the Thunderbolts being used, different iterations of the team. So I really like this book overall. But if we do get them in the MCU, I think that this is a book that will absolutely go to the moon. And I'm still someone who believes that the groundwork is being laid for them to come into the MCU. So I really do like this book. And when we take a look at the current values, this is a book that is really, really gone down, because once we didn't get the payoff for them in Falcon and Winter Soldier, this book really took a nosedive. So right now is a great time to buy, in my opinion. And when we look at, where this book was at the height of its speculation, I mean, this was a book in 9.8 that was hitting 4 figures. And now it's a book that, sits around that $600 range in 9.8. So I really think that, as far as an investment potential is concerned, we've already seen a ceiling that it could reach. So this feels like a good buy-in, in my opinion. Estimated average raw, $140 to $200 right now. So a book that is pretty pricey depending on your budget, but one that I still think is going to be a key in this market for a very long time. All right, going on now to my number 2 pick, and that's going to be Daredevil number 131 from 1976. And what is the significance of this? Well, this is the first appearance of Bullseye and his origin story as well. And for my money, as far as street level villain is concerned, Bullseye is absolutely the most iconic one. And I like his potential, and I like this book's potential overall as an investment. There you can see right there, I have pop culture potential. You're good, but I'm magic, right? That's the quintessential line that he has, the line that he says to Elektra before, he kills her. And I really think, when I think about it, like, I know that we had Colin Farrell play Bullseye in that one, Ben Affleck Daredevil movie, but this is a new era, right? Like, could you imagine if we got Bullseye in the MCU and he said that line, you're good, but I'm magic, and then killed Elektra or whatever the case may be? Do you know the template for memes that would set up within pop culture? I mean, I feel like Bullseye has so much potential to just absolutely capture the world by storm. If Charlie Cox Daredevil is coming to the MCU, they were already setting up Bullseye to make his way in the Daredevil series before, it ended up getting canceled. And it's only a matter of time before, some great actor really owns the character and just elevates him to the new stratosphere. Additionally, Bullseye, a Dark Avenger candidate. So for building, our way to Dark Avengers, I feel like that he's definitely got to make his way on the team. So I think that that's a really great reason why they would want to bring him into the MCU. And then a comparison right here that I want to kind of point out that I think is really interesting as far as potential. There you can see the Killmonger book. This is that jungle action. 9.6 is selling fair market value around the $2,200 range. Right now, 9.6 for this Bullseye book is around $1,450. So, if we think about Bullseye coming to the MCU and maybe doing what, Michael B. Jordan did for Killmonger, some great actor elevating Bullseye. To me, I think that this is a book that can easily reach that $2,000 range at that grade. And if we look at the estimated average raw, we can see that it's selling around that $150 to $325 range. So definitely a pricey book. But, I think that there's a lot of room to grow with this one, especially when we get him in the MCU. All right, moving on now to my number one top street level villain to invest in. Well, you guys know who it is. Of course, this is Amazing Spider-Man number 50, first appearance of Wilson Fisk, Kingpin. Even outside of street level, he is a top tier supervillain in all of comic books and all of Marvel comic books. So this is a great investment book in my opinion. Now, again, this is a very expensive book, as you guys, I'm sure, are well aware. But one of the things as I really dug into the numbers with this one and looked at the values, I think that there's a lot of potential for this book at that mid-grade level, around that 7,650 range. There's a lot of opportunity there, right? It is a cheaper book at that grade level than most of the other, say, ASM villains that you can compare him to. Like when you look at First Scorpion or First Lizard or First Mysterio, those books are way more expensive at the mid-grade level than the Kingpin one. So with Kingpin being as significant as he is, I think there's a great growth potential at that specific target range. Additionally, this cover, what do you got to say about it? One of the most iconic covers in all of comic books. People love this thing. So on top of the fact that it is the first appearance of Kingpin, people are always going to want to own this because of the cover. And then on top of that, this is an ASM book. A lot of people love to collect the entire ASM run. So that kind of adds extra, investment value to it. Also rumored for Hawkeye, Vincent D'Onofrio from the Daredevil series is currently rumored to make his way to the MCU. So they're going to want to utilize the Kingpin in some kind of way. He's also was in the Into the Spider-Verse. So as far as like transmedia use, the Kingpin is always going to be utilized in pop culture. And then the last thing I want to point out is Loki-esque potential. If we look at how they utilize Baron Zemo, or we look at how they utilize Tom Hiddleston Loki, I think that Kingpin will get the same sort of treatment where he'll be brought in for many different shows. He'll be brought in for movies. He'll have scenes with all the different superheroes, be involved in conversations when the Skrulls are attacking Earth. Like the Kingpin will, have to fight the Skrulls. So he's going to be like this kind of crazy, weird anti-hero when we have these crossover films. So I think the Kingpin is a great character overall and probably the best street level villain there is. Well, that is all I have for this video. That was a long one. I might have to break this one up into 2 parts, but thank you all for watching. That is my top 10 street level villains to invest in. Let me know what you guys think. Do you guys have any of these books? Are there other street level villains that you feel like are worth investing in? Drop me a like, comment, subscribe if you're enjoying the content, and I will see you in the next video.